Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are going to do something that's amazing. I start to say it's a little bit different, but it's a meat, so it's not that different, but it's really, really good. We are going to fix, sorry, didn't have my utensils out that I needed. We're going to make oven barbecued pork ribs. Who doesn't like ribs? Everybody likes ribs. So anyway, this is something I used to do at my restaurant when we were smaller. Now we've gotten to the point I couldn't do this at lunch. It would just be too much for the way we do lunches. So people loved it. It's really good. It's one of these things you can throw together quickly. Very common ingredients. Stick it in the oven. It slow cooks for a couple of hours. You can run out and do 1,000 other things and then come back and supper's together. So, and something else, when you talk about prep ahead for something like this, you know, some of the prep ahead steps, you can make the dry rub, have that set to the side, make the barbecue, have that set to the side, and then have your ribs thawed. That's one way to do it. Another way would be thaw your ribs, make your rub, get it on your ribs, the things we're going to go through here, and partially bake your ribs. They have to bake for a couple of hours, so you could stick them in there for probably, an hour, hour and a half, take them out, let them cool, stick them in the fridge in the little pouch that I'm going to show you how to make. And then the night you come home from work and you're running like a crazy person, believe me, I know those days, or remember those days very well, you can pull it out, let it kind of warm up a little bit on the counter, pop it in the oven, let it finish cooking, then 30. Probably you'd want to give it another 15 minutes or so because it's going cold in the oven out of the refrigerator. But that's another kind of prep ahead way to do it. So it's less cooking time on a weeknight. So I'll add all that to the notes. But so there's two levels, I guess, of prep ahead steps you can do. But for now, we're going to make the dry rub like I ran through a second ago. We'll do this dry rub it all over the ribs, and then make a little pouch that they're going to bake in, which is how they bake and steam and get soft and amazing. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Let me turn the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, the recipe is 4 pounds of ribs. I have 2 pounds. So what I'm going to be measuring is going to be different than what is on the recipe and what I'm going to be saying to you. So I'm going to be reading the recipe because I don't want to confuse y'all. But if you look at what I'm doing and you're like, well, you didn't do that, that's why. So anyway, so to start out with the dry rub, we need 3/4 cup of, you can use light brown sugar. You know me, I'm using coconut sugar. Coconut sugar always is my go-to for any brown sugar and pretty much any sugar, period. I just like coconut sugar. So 3/4 cup. And then you want a teaspoon of smoked salt. Now, don't let that wig you out. There's a couple things we can do here. So it's a teaspoon of smoked salt, hickory smoked or oak smoked salt, and a tablespoon of paprika. So I've got an oak smoked salt that my cousin gave me because he happens to be part owner in Wayne Jacobs Smokehouse in South Louisiana. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, they smoked that rock salt, and that is the real deal. Salt that's smoked, not salt with flavors that sort of remind you of smoke. So that's what I'm going to use. You could use smoked paprika, which is an amazing spice I would encourage you to have in your repertoire of spices because it'll give you that same smoky flavor. So instead of doing a teaspoon of the smoked salt and a tablespoon of straight paprika, you could do a tablespoon and a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and it's going to work out the same way. That's what I used to do at the restaurant. So that's something you can do. Now, since this is rock salt, I've got to grind it. I'm not going to make y'all watch me grind the salt, but I'm going to do that in just a second. So my tablespoon of, that is not the right measuring utensil. Okay, so you've got a tablespoon of paprika and then a teaspoon of the salt. So again, don't pay attention to how I'm measuring things because I'm doing half the recipe. So I'm going to pause it a second and use my little handy dandy grinder, grind up my salt, and I'll be right back. Okay, so there is my teaspoon of the smoked salt. So again, y'all, I'd really encourage you to get some smoked paprika. It is, if it's a quality spice, which like I've mentioned before, I get mine from Frontier, which is a fabulous brand. They will take the peppers, smoke them, dry them, grind them. So it is true smoke, like this is true smoke. You have to be careful because a lot of smoked, air quotes, smoked products are smoke faux flavors, and you don't want that. That's not real food. That's not what we're trying to do. So anyway, now we're going to go on to garlic powder. We need a tablespoon of garlic powder. And then the last thing is cayenne or red pepper. So it calls for half a teaspoon. If you want hot and spicy, you can spice it up and add more. That's not my deal, not my gig, not my thing. I don't do hot and spicy. So I just do what the recipe called for, 1/2 of a teaspoon. And it's really, really good that way. So see, isn't that pretty, 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 pretty? So we're going to mix all this up real good. And this is our dry rub that's going to go on our ribs. Now, we actually split a hog with my brother a couple months ago. Some friends of ours raised some organically fed, pastured, loved on. I mean, I saw these pigs, and they literally were loved on. So that is like the best meat on the planet. And we got a couple of packages of ribs out of it, and that's what I'm fixing to use. Let me get the gloves on. So I'm going to move this over. What I have here is a baking sheet with a piece of tin foil, shiny side down, and then a piece of parchment paper on top of it. So you've heard me talk about we don't want our food touching tin foil directly, but we need to make this little pouch to kind of steam bake our ribs. So that's where the parchment paper comes in. So we'll get our ribs, and what I did a minute ago was just cut the end off the package. Look at those babies. Isn't that wonderful? Cut the package open, drained the blood into the sink. Oh, my oven's ready. Hang on just a second. Okay, when I had the camera paused to get something out of the oven, I just went ahead and cut my rib, my long ribs into some smaller sections just to make it easier to handle. And all we're going to do is sprinkle this dry rub, and you want to use it all, and it may feel like it's too much, but I promise you it won't be too much. So you're going to sprinkle it on and kind of rub it around, covering every little bit, and then flip it over, and we'll do the other side. Get these sides. Oh, this smells good. Between the sugar and the smoky salt or paprika, if that's what you're using, which is what I've used at the restaurant 100 times. So it works great. Flip these, season both sides really well with the dry rub. Just making sure we get it over everything. And then you want to just kind of rub it in, make sure it's all covered real good. And it doesn't matter if they're kind of stacked up. Got a little pile right there. Just as long as everything's got some dry rub on it, because that's going to give you some of the really, really good flavor. And then when you are putting this in the little pouch, you want the meaty side face down. So when you look at your rib, well, that's all meat. There's really not any bones in there. That's the tip. Let's look at this one. I should have done this before I seasoned it, but this is the meaty side. You see the red, and then this side had the white kind of skin-like stuff. That's the side that you want the meaty side down. So you want the skin side. See that? You want that facing up. So we'll turn this guy over. Yeah, see all that? Want that side up. So flip this. Let me get a little of this and spread that on there. And oh my gosh, it's going to be so good. All right. So we'll kind of get it to the, sort of to the middle of the sheet, because now we're going to put another piece of parchment on top. Let me take my gloves off. And another piece of foil on top. And then we're going to roll it up. Sorry, trying to do this without making an incredible amount of noise, which is not probably happening. It's like anything you don't want to have picked up on the video seems to pick up on the audio. Actually, what I'm going to do too is slip this off the baking sheet so that I can wrap it up. So, what we'll do, and this doesn't have to be perfect, is kind of come in here, fold up your parchment paper so that your tin foil doesn't have parchment paper between it. And just fold a little edge down. Oh, y'all can't even see that. Good golly. Just fold a little edge down. So you're just kind of making a little envelope. Then I'm going to scoot it back this way. Can you see on this end? So again, I'm going to go in here, fold my parchment paper, make a terrible amount of noise so y'all can't hear me. Bring this over, and then just crimp it over. You want it tight, but just do it real thin. I mean, thin, you know, real little. A little 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch folds. You don't have to do some big fold. You want it really tight. And when I pulled it, that side came undone because I didn't do 2 folds on this one. So I'm not doing what I say. So let me do this side again. If you don't do it right, you get to repeat. But here's the thing too, y'all. Be really careful with this. This tin foil can slice your little finger right open. It's not going to be anything deep and gross, but it's going to be like a paper cut, and it's going to hurt like heck. All right, so get that done. Let me move all my utensils. And I'll move it down, and we'll do this end. Just make sure your parchment paper's tucked in there. Fold it over. The whole key here is making a pouch that is airtight. So I'll fold it again. Kind of get that corner all mashed down, and then come down to this side and do the same thing. Parchment paper's tucked back. Take this, fold over. Oop, parchment paper sticking out. That just, the only problem with that is it keeps your seal from being good. So I folded it once, now I'll fold it again. Now typically what I will do, so I've got 2 folds on every side. I'll come back and do one more, kind of half of the fold I just did. And again, the point is to make an airtight seal. Because what you want, if y'all are old enough to remember Jiffy Pop popcorn, that's what you want. When it's in the oven, it's going to get steam in there and it's going to poof up. And then those ribs are going to just sit there and cook real slow. The oven was preheated on 300, so it's going to cook slow for a couple of hours with all that seasoning and the juices and the fat that's going to render off, you know, the little bit of fat. There's not a tremendous amount, but enough to make it really good. It's going to render off those ribs. And that's it. There's your little pouch. Make sure shiny side is out. Always put shiny side out with tin foil. It conducts the heat better in the oven. We're going to pop this in the oven at 300 degrees for a couple of hours. And when we pull it out, you'll see the meat, when it's done, the meat's kind of pulling away from the bone. That's when it's really good. And then we're going to whip up a barbecue sauce, put it on there, and pig out. So I'll see y'all back in a couple hours. Okay, we're back, and the oven is done, or the temperature's done, the time's done, whatever. I'm going to grab the ribs out of the oven. There we go. Jiffy Pop popcorn ribs. So let me turn this down so y'all can see what I'm going to do, which is the next step. And this will be it. And it's so easy. Okay, so the oven, I turned it up to broil. But see that? That's what you want. And if you did your pouch tight, that's what you'll get. And it steams the meat while it's cooking, and it makes it so incredibly moist. But here's the thing. When you open this, steam is going to come pouring out, and it will burn the you-know-what out of you if you're not super, super careful. So usually what I'll do is get one corner and just kind of tear it and let the steam come out, because I have burned myself bad. All right, so we'll take that top piece off, pull off this top piece of parchment. Ooh, y'all, I hope y'all can see this, and I haven't gotten out of the frame of the camera. Pull that up a little bit. Look at that. See how the meat's pulled back from the bottom? Look at that. That bone just came out. These are so tender. Now see, I just soon eat them just like that. Forget the barbecue sauce. I'm not into it. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to pull one of these slabs out because I don't want barbecue sauce on mine. Ugh. I like them just dry rubbed. We'll just take that little baby right there, put it on the plate, and that is what I'm going to have. But the rest of these, let me move them where I can get the barbecue sauce on them. Now, you can do a couple things. You can take this and turn it up and get that, the fat off, and I think I'll do that because that'll help the barbecue sauce stick to the ribs. If it's sitting in that fat, while it's extremely tasty, the barbecue sauce will just fall off on it, and then you won't have barbecue ribs, you'll have dry rub ribs. So hang on. Okay, hopefully I won't make a big fat mess with this, but I'm just going to kind of make a little pour spout right there and turn this and just pour the bulk of that. I'm not going to worry about getting every little drip, but just get the bulk of it off of there so that they're not swimming in that, and then, like I said, your barbecue sauce won't stick. So here's what we're going to do. Got a separate video with our homemade amazing barbecue sauce. It's amazing if you like barbecue sauce. Not my thing. But anyway, so we're just going to pour this on here. If you have a brush and you want to brush it on, go for it. I don't really worry about it. I just kind of pour mine. Oh my goodness. And then I'll take the back of a spoon and rub it around like that. Probably put a little too much, but whatever. Then we can take this and flip it over. Look at that. Bone just came right out. That booger's hot. Flip that. And then we'll take our barbecue sauce, pour a little bit more, and we're going to stick it in the oven on broil for just like 3 or 4 minutes, literally. And it's just going to kind of cook the barbecue sauce on, kind of caramelize it, you know, blacken it up just a tiny bit. And then it's ready. And then it's time to chow. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to pop this in the oven. It's not quite up to broil yet, so we'll give it a second, but then we'll pull it in, put it in there, and I'll pull it out and show y'all what it looks like. And that's it. Oven barbecued ribs straight out of the oven. It took 2 minutes. Look at how tender those are. I mean, a spoon just goes right through them. To get just a couple minutes to get that barbecue sauce baked in, and they are ready to go. So y'all try this one. Throw some comments out there and let me know what you think. I'll see you on the next video.